I used to run an underground video platform. Not the kind you'd find on YouTube or Twitch. This one was hidden deep on the dark web, accessible only through encrypted Tor links. It was built for people who wanted to stream things that weren't exactly legal. Fights, data drops, stolen surveillance footage. So I handled the tech, the security, the rules. I thought I had control over everything. I thought I was the one watching. But one night, something changed. Around 2:45 a.m., while checking logs and bandwidth usage, I noticed something strange. A stream had gone live, but not from any of our usual users. There was no IP history, no registration. It simply appeared in the backend, /dev/stream-0x00. The label didn't follow any of the naming conventions I'd coded. Thinking it was a glitch or maybe someone testing an exploit, I opened the stream in a sandboxed window just to be safe. But what I saw was a dimly lit room. A man was sitting completely still in front of a desk. He wasn't typing. He wasn't moving. Just sitting. At first glance, it looked like someone testing their webcam or setting up a shot, but something about it felt off. As I kept watching, I started to notice the details in the background. There was a bookshelf, a cracked second monitor, a pile of old drives. That's when it hit me. It looked exactly like my own apartment. I stared harder at the objects in the background. The same painting I had hanging above my couch. The same dent in the corner of my desk. Even the green hoodie I left draped over my chair just an hour earlier. It was all there. But the man in the stream wasn't me. He had my clothes, my room, my setup. But the face, it wasn't mine. I couldn't see it clearly, but it was just enough to tell something was wrong. It was like looking at a version of myself that had been rearranged. Then he moved. Slowly, he turned to look at the screen, as if he could see me watching. My stomach dropped. I reached for the mouse to shut the stream down, but the cursor froze. The system became unresponsive. And then the man on screen leaned in, staring right into the camera. I didn't hear him speak. There was no sound. But text appeared at the bottom of the feed, as if he were typing it live. "You're not the one watching." Right after that, the stream went black. And that's when my own webcam light turned on. I didn't move for several seconds. I just sat there, staring at the tiny red light glowing from the top of my laptop. My hands were off the keyboard. Nothing was running. Every background process had been cleared before I even launched the stream. I slammed the lid shut and cut the power from the wall. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I ran every diagnostic tool I knew. I checked logs, network access, camera permissions. Nothing showed up. There was no trace of the stream. Not in the history, not in the logs, not even in the packet captures. It was as if it never happened. But I know what I saw. I rebuilt my system from scratch, wiped everything, reflashed my BIOS, changed my IP. I even moved apartments 3 weeks later. But sometimes, I still see that light flicker on when I'm not using the webcam. Just for a second. Just long enough to remind me. Someone's watching. And the worst part? I'm no longer sure if I'm still me. If you felt something watching you during the story, you're not alone. Strange things tend to happen after people hear these tales. So before your lights flicker or your screen goes dark, like, comment, and share it. so you're not the only one haunted. And whatever you do, subscribe before midnight, because they always notice the quiet ones. A few years ago, I was working as a freelance coder on the dark web. I stayed away from anything violent or illegal. Mostly, I helped with encryption tools, hidden message boards, and building secure marketplaces. But one day, I got a message through an anonymous contact form I'd posted on an Onion site. The sender wanted help restoring a corrupted marketplace. The pay was unusually high. All I had to do was fix the interface, preserve the data. There was no name, no crypto wallet ID, just a link to a hidden service that was offline. I should have ignored it, but I didn't. Out of curiosity, and I'll admit, greed, I downloaded the files they sent. It was a backup of the entire marketplace. At first glance, it looked like one of the older darknet drug markets from around 2013. The usual categories were there: narcotics, fake IDs, hacking tools, but everything was in ruins. Broken links, scrambled product listings, corrupted images. What really caught my attention were the user reviews. Every listing had reviews from the same usernames, over and over. Not unusual on its own, but the dates were strange. They all ended on the same day, October 28th, 2014. No one had posted anything since that date. Every single comment from every user ended with the same sentence: service complete. Still here. That gave me chills. I figured it was a script error or maybe a developer left placeholder text. But as I went deeper, I found something worse. Each seller profile had an active light beside it, green if they were online. At first, all the profiles were marked offline, but the moment I launched the test server and restored the backup locally, one of the seller lights turned green. Eulogy_vendor01. There were no items listed under their name, just a button that said message seller. I clicked it, expecting a blank form or an error message. Instead, I saw a single chat message, already typed in the window. Why did you wake us? I stared at it for a while, unsure if it was a prank or some kind of embedded script. Before I could close it, another message appeared. You shouldn't have brought this place back. That was when the other seller's lights started turning green, one by one, and within seconds, dozens of them lit up. And then, the marketplace began rebuilding itself. Products started appearing on their own, but these weren't normal listings. They had names like Silence in a Bottle, The Last Thought of a Dying Man, and Freshly Taken Breath. The prices were absurd, some in the millions, others in negative numbers. Every image was distorted, like faces blurred just before they screamed. My terminal froze. The screen flashed white. Then I was kicked out of the server. When I checked my local files, the marketplace folders was gone. Not deleted. Gone. As if it had never been downloaded. My logs were wiped clean. My clipboard history was empty. Even my browser cache was untouched. The only thing left was a new folder on my desktop. Eulogy. Inside was a single text file. When I opened it, it contained only one sentence. You have been added to the vendor list. I checked my network. My IP hadn't leaked. My firewall was still up. My system hadn't shown signs of intrusion. But the moment I connected to the dark web again, a few days later, I found a new hidden service bookmark saved in my browser. I didn't put it there. The URL was long, random characters, but the name of the page read a date, My birthday. I shut everything down, formatted the drives, reinstalled everything from clean media. I haven't gone near the dark web since. But sometimes, late at night, I'll get a notification ping from an old encrypted chat client I no longer use. It always says the same thing. New order received. A few years ago, I worked in digital security. I had clients from all over, companies, freelancers, even underground markets. My job was to create contracts that couldn't be broken, even in the darkest corners of the internet. I used a mix of blockchain tech and encrypted smart agreements. Basically, if you promised something through my system, you either delivered or the contract took payment anyway. One night, I got a message through an encrypted email I rarely used. The subject was just one word: contract. Inside was a simple request. Create a smart contract that binds both parties until the obligation is fulfilled. If either side fails to deliver, remove them. That wording, remove them, felt strange. Most people say something like fine or charge, not remove. Still, the sender offered 10 times my usual rate, upfront, in crypto. I responded, asking what kind of transaction this was for. A final exchange, no goods, just presents. That didn't make any sense, but the crypto transfer hit my wallet a few seconds later. I was in. I wrote the contract like usual. It was airtight. Both parties had to sign with their unique cryptographic keys. Once signed, the contract activated and monitored both wallets. If either wallet failed to confirm fulfillment, the contract would execute a punishment clause. Normally, that meant auto-withdrawing funds. In this case, the clause was written by the client, and it simply said, failure to complete equals erasure. Weird wording, but harmless, I assumed. Maybe it was symbolic. A few minutes after I uploaded the contract to the private blockchain, I saw 2 signatures appear. Not wallet addresses, but literal names. The collector, the departing. I'd never seen anything like that. Wallets don't use names. I checked the transaction log. No money was exchanged, no goods listed. Just a status update. Presents transferred. And then the sender messaged me again and said, thank you. At first, I thought it was just someone role-playing some kind of creepy ARG, but then I noticed something in my wallet. A new token had appeared. It had no value. It wasn't listed on any exchange. Just a name, Witness. I couldn't transfer it, couldn't delete it. I even tried moving the private key to a different wallet, but it followed me. No matter what I did, that token appeared every time I logged into any crypto platform. Worse, it started to change. At first, it showed a blank image. Then a dark shape appeared. Day by day, it became clearer. After a week, it looked like a shadowy figure facing away from the camera, standing in an empty room. A week later, the figure had turned slightly, now facing the side, with just part of its face visible. Another week passed, and it was looking right at me. I stopped checking it. But then strange things started happening outside the digital world. Lights in my apartment would flicker for no reason. My laptop camera light would turn on by itself. I heard whispering while wearing noise-canceling headphones. And the worst part, whenever I passed a mirror, I'd catch a glimpse of a shape behind me. Just for a split second. Always standing still. I hired a tech expert to help wipe everything. He couldn't find anything wrong. No malware, no spyware, no rootkits. He did find one strange line of code embedded in my local blockchain node. It read, "The witness must remain until balance is restored." I don't know what balance means. I don't know what presence was transferred or why. But I do know this. I was just supposed to write the contract. I didn't agree to anything else. And yet somehow I became part of it. I haven't coded anything since. I deleted every wallet, burned my drives, and moved across the country. But the token still follows me. Every time I install a new crypto wallet, it appears within minutes. Sometimes when I log in, the token has a message. The last one just said, "You are not done." When I was a teenager, I became fascinated with how the internet worked, especially the dark parts of it. I got into Tor, a network that lets people browse anonymously. I wasn't looking to break any laws, I just wanted to learn and maybe build something useful. One day, I decided to run an exit node. This is a server that helps route traffic from the Tor network to the regular internet. You can't see who is sending the data, but you can see what websites they're visiting. For the first few days, everything was pretty normal. People were looking at political articles, downloading leaked documents, or sometimes visiting sketchy file sharing sites. Nothing surprising. It was boring, actually. But on the 5th night, I noticed something strange. A single connection kept showing up every few hours. Exactly every 3 hours, like it was on a timer. It was always from the same source, and it always tried to reach the same page. The strange part was that page didn't exist. Still, the same request kept coming, again and again. It looked like the user, or whatever it was waiting for the page to appear, like it was expecting a message. Out of curiosity, I decided to create a simple page with the same address it was trying to access. I typed just one word on it: listening. That's when everything changed. The repeated requests stopped. Nothing happened for a full day. I thought maybe it was over. But then, at 3 a.m. sharp the next night, a new connection appeared. This time, it didn't just request a web page. It started sending a stream of encrypted data. It was fast. Way too fast to be text. It seemed more like a video feed or large file transfer. I checked my logs and realized something that made my heart drop. The data was not only leaving through my exit node, it was also coming back in. It was looping. The information was going out, bouncing around the internet, and somehow coming back to me. I didn't open the file. I wasn't that foolish, but my computer opened something on its own. For just a second, a window appeared on my screen. I saw a dimly lit room. There was a chair, and a person sitting in it. Then the screen turned to static. After that, everything crashed. The lights in my room flickered off for a second. My monitor went black. Then it turned back on, but it wasn't my desktop anymore. There was just a black screen with white text that said, "You are now a part of the path." I panicked. I ripped the power cable out of the wall. I physically destroyed the hard drive and reinstalled everything from scratch. I never ran an exit node again. But there's one thing I never told anyone. 2 weeks later, I got a plain envelope in the mail. There was no return address. Inside, there was only one thing: a printed photo. It was a picture of me. taken from inside my room. At the exact moment I was watching that strange video feed,